Hey guys, what's happening? It's Jay coming at you from the Hooch, and we're talking fire kits today. Fire is one of those incredibly important skill sets to learn, whether you're using a lighter, ferro rod, um, matches, whatever it may be. You need to have the ability to make a fire, and you need to have the know-how to make a fire. You need to know how fire works. But a lot of it comes down to having those basic tools for how to do it. So I'm going to kind of go over my personal fire kit and a lot of other considerations that I keep in with my gear as far as fire making abilities and why I do those certain things. So stay tuned. Be right back. All right, guys, so fire kits. I'm going to go over my fire kit, the one that I keep in my main bag. This is the fire kit that really I put together to be able to take care of just about any scenario that I could possibly encounter up there. Number one, I keep it in a dedicated pouch. This way it's not rolling around in places and it's easy to find. And this something to keep in mind with this too, guys, is this does not include what is on my physical body. Those things that are in my, whether they're in my smock pockets, my cargo pockets of my pants, or in my administration gear, that doesn't, this is separate. This is in my main bag. This is my main fire kit for camping, bushcraft, survival. This is the main one. So I have a dedicated pouch for it. I think that's extremely important. Tough Possum, if you guys don't have any other pouches, definitely check those out. Let's go ahead and dump this out. Get this separated up in an organized way to go over with you. All right. Two main components of my fire kit. One is my ignition source. What is going to create that flame or spark? The second is going to be my fuel source. What is it that is taking that spark or flame in order to be able to build my fire? Obviously, as everybody would guess right away, some sort of a lighter, right? Everyone says, oh yeah, I carry a lighter in my pocket. A lot of people, especially old school guys, are carrying a 3, 4, 5 lighters on their body. One in their cargo pockets, one in a shirt pockets, one in a like a chest rig or whatnot, one in a LBE pocket, one in a survival kit. Very easy to carry multiple lighters. The downfall of lighters is that they're fragile. They do break, they will break, they run out of fuel. Those are things to keep in mind. My lighter, I've done a couple modifications to it that I've learned through the years that really helps out a lot. One is a lanyard for putting around your neck, or if you drop it, it makes it easier to find. I like keeping some sort of a bright colored cord on it. I like wrapping my lighter in duct tape. Duct tape can be used as a fuel source so that you can actually extend the flame out a little bit longer, especially in wet conditions, windy conditions. That helps out well. I also tape to my lighter, I think you guys can see that there, a piece of waxed jute twine, or actually this specific piece I just rubbed, cut off a piece of twine and rubbed Vaseline all throughout it, and that helps act as an extender for the flame because you only have so much source in your lighter, right? So if you're having a difficult time on a windy day or really wet conditions where you're holding that out, and we all know that if you keep this lit for too long, it ends up getting hot on your thumb, right? So by doing this little bit of wax twine, you light that, and now you have a way for extending your fuel source out so that you're not wasting fuel that's in the lighter. So you have that. Put that out so nothing happens. So I'm a big fan of setting up your lighter like this. I think that pays dividends down the road for you. I have lifeboat matches. So here they're just in a pill bottle container. Keep several of them in there, and then I have something for striking them on. So those are great because you can light those or strike those even when they're soaking wet. They have a long burn time to them. So those work out really good for another ignition source. And then of course we have a good old ferro rod, right? Ferro rods, we all know you have some sort of a striker you use with it. This specific one has a magnesium bar attached to it, just like the old GI ones do, and then it has your striker portion of it as well. Nice thing with the ferro rod is you can use a striker to it, or you can use, if you're carrying some sort of a field knife or bushcraft knife, you can use the spine of that knife for creating your spark as well. So that kind of does double duty for you. I'm a huge ferro rod fan. I really feel like in just about any condition, I can get a fire started with a ferro rod. And give me a ferro rod and a knife, and I'll make you a fire every single day of the week. So that adds to your extra, another ignition source. I'm a believer in the rule of threes when it comes to this stuff. So in my fire kit, I like having 3 ways to ignite a fire. So 3 ignition sources, right? So I have a lighter, I have a ferro rod, and I have matches. 3 different ways to make a fire there. Now, when it comes to my tinder sources, or the way that, or my fuel, once again, the rule of threes. I like having 3 things. I'm a big fan of fat wood, keeping a couple pieces of fat wood inside your fire kits. You know, here just happens to be a bigger one that is in there. So that's gonna I mean, that's dozens and dozens and dozens of fire starting opportunities that you have there. So that's really well. Even when it's wet, because of how resinous it is, just keep scraping off on it, and you're gonna end up with a nice pile of fat wood shavings for lighting a fire to. And once in, all 3 of your ignition sources will be able to light that. I also carry some wet fire cubes in there as well for lighting a fire. You take these, you crush them down a little bit, hit it with a spark, boom, you go. And then I also keep a metal container with petroleum jelly cotton balls in it. Once again, we all know that, you know, one of those will stay lit for a few minutes for getting a fire started. So that works out really well too. Now, a bonus to this is I have a metal container. So if I need to make charred wood, maybe I'm making char cloth or taking punk wood and charring it, I have the ability to do that in this. I also have the ability to use the lid and create a whole thing of shavings so that I have something that is dry for getting all those shavings put into. I can get all that worked out there. And it gives me a spot for keeping them all contained, right? So all of that is contained there now, so it's not sitting on the wet ground or anything like that. And then I'm able to take my ferro rod to it, and just with 1 or 2 sparks, I'm gonna be able to light that, and we have our fire, right? So now you're able to take that and slide it underneath your tinder bundle and get it going. So we have that. So I like that idea a lot for being able to have that. And if you do have to make char cloth or charred punk wood down the road, you set this up accordingly, pop a hole in it like you would. We all remember the old Altoid tins, right? So you have that, and then you make your char cloth, or you do your punk wood in there. So I like using this stuff a lot. So you take a piece of punk wood, right? And we got our ferro rod again. So literally it only takes 1 or 2 sparks for it to finally catch. And that one didn't catch yet. There we go. So now you can see the glow. Can you see I don't know if you can see the glow on it or not. There you go. So that has caught a spark there. So if we blow on it, we can get that to light up a little bit. So now that there is our char cloth or punk wood going into action for us. We put that in a tinder bundle, boom, we have flame, right? So that works out really good with that. So that gives you the ability to make that material out in the field. Now, some other considerations for fire making out in the field, and I think these are important to keep in mind, is the last thing that I like to keep in my fire kit are a couple tea candles. So this, once again, helps extend a flame. You can use this. You can wrap yourself up on a, if it gets extra cold at night and you find yourself in a situation where you can't set up a shelter, you can wrap your tarp around you or cover yourself with your poncho, light a candle and set that between your legs, lean up against a tree, and it's going to warm things up inside of that poncho pretty quickly, actually. So the tea candles aren't going to stay lit for super long. You might get an hour or two out of that, but it's better than none. Plus, in really wet conditions, you light that, slide that underneath, and it helps with drying things out. So I like keeping that in my fire kit as well. So we have all of those things in that one fire kit, right? Nice and simple. Now, some considerations for you guys when you're putting together a fire kit or some other fire making options. Hey gang, don't forget to go check out our channel sponsor, AT Armor. AT Armor can take care of all of your body armor needs along with accessories for your body armor. Link will be down below. You can always use some sort of a Fresnel lens, a magnifying glass, reading glasses, whatever it may be. You can use that for starting a fire as well. It's the size of a credit card and weighs absolutely nothing. Why not, right? So you have something like that. You still have all different shapes and sizes of ferro rods. I have ferro rods every which way, only because this is easy for having dummy corded into a cargo pocket on a combat shirt or in a smock or in your cargo pants, anything like that. So all different shapes and sizes of those. Something else to keep in mind too, especially for you guys, for Minutemen purposes or hunters, you don't forget that chances are you have ammunition in your bag, right? So you have stuff in your kit that you can make a fire out of just by simply removing the bullet out of the casing, and you have that gunpowder in there. So you can always light that gunpowder if you need to. So let's say we're going to take a 22 round, right? So we have that. Literally take a pair of pliers, pinch it, squeeze that off, pour that gunpowder out into your container, because remember, we have some sort of a metal container to do this. So we have left our shell, we have the bullet itself, but then you go ahead and take a ferro rod to it and light that, and you're going to get a temporary means for lighting a fire. So that works out really well. So it's amazing. That right there can be a lifesaver just because of the powder that's inside the bullet. It's in a waterproof container, right? And it's easy to pop the bullet out. So why not take advantage of that in certain situations? So you have that going for you there. So that, guys, is really my spiel on fire kits. I think that I like the rule of threes. I like having 3 ignition methods and 3 tinder methods, or 3 man-made, whether it's man-made or natural made tinders for being able to start a fire. So with my normal fire kit, which weighs nothing, I know guys are going to be like, oh, but you have so much, you got 3 different things, why don't I just carry a Bic lighter, or I just carry this? Why not set yourself up for success by putting together a proper fire kit and then learning how to properly use it? So that's all I got for you guys. I will do a video after this going over actually making fires out in the field, and that way kind of put those methods to work, making feather sticks, proper fire setup, things like that. We'll go over a couple different fire setups and why you would use each one, and most importantly, when you would not use a fire. So especially for the Minuteman, sometimes it's going to be more prudent not to have a fire than to make a fire. So we'll go over those kinds of considerations as well. So anyways, that's all I got, guys. Always, thank you for following along. I appreciate it, and we'll touch base with you guys soon. Thanks. Be good.